Blessings and welcome to Eartheart Radio. Finally beginning to awaken from the illusion of separateness and broadcasting live from the KSKQ studios in beautiful Ashland, Oregon. Here's your host, Derek Moody.
Yes, indeed. It's another Sunday in lovely Southern Oregon. Hello, my friends. Great to have you here. Thank you for tuning in. And if you tuned in and you've been planning it, boy, I sure do appreciate you putting me on your calendar. There's a lot of things you could be doing, but in these days, it seems like more and more folks are tuning back into the old art form of radio broadcasting, and I certainly appreciate that because I wouldn't want to talk to myself, and also it seems like the more you broadcast, the more you learn, like anything in life. You put your foot in your mouth over and over again, and eventually you stop and you just shut your mouth sometimes and put your foot elsewhere, like one foot in front of the other kind of thing, and you go forward in this thing called life. My friends, today will be great because we've got harmonious music on deck. We've got positive news lined up. I'm going to speak about the goddess Lakshmi. And on the phone today, we're going to speak with a guy that's a friend of mine, but he's also a person that I've grown to know over the years here in Ashland, Oregon, through various means. All good, of course. And I want to bring him on the line because he's been in the news quite a bit lately as somebody that's experiencing something that you and I, and of course not everyone listening is living in a house, but I can almost guarantee that a lot of the majority of the people are. So Joe Gibson is somebody we're going to speak to that represents the people in our community that may not live in a house and experiences what he experiences because he does not live in a house. And let's bring him on the line because he's got a lot of wisdom to share and a lot of knowledge. Joe, are you there, bro?
I am here. The last minute or so, you've been cutting in and out on me. Are you getting me clearly?
I don't know. You're sounding really good on my end. I'm not sure, brother.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'm here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I am now.
Nice, dude. You know, let's get right to the chase. A lot of folks listening that don't live, say, in Southern Oregon that may not have seen you in the paper or know who you are, maybe just start out with, in a nutshell, tell us just a little about yourself and how you got in the situation that you're in currently today and how you live. Okay,
so previous to me coming to Ashland, Oregon, which is 2014, I was very much a traveler. And I decided that Ashland, Oregon would be the place that I would stop and put my feet for a little while because I had a pet project that you couldn't do while traveling. Once I stopped here for just a little bit, I then got wrapped in the prohibited camping thing here in Ashland. Got hit with a ticket for sleeping outside. And I've kind of been here as a thorn in the side of the police in the Ashland city. And it's just kind of blown up over the last few months.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen you in the in the news and the paper being quoted and talking very eloquently, by the way, and representing you and not only yourself, but other folks in the community of not living in a house in Ashland. And there's so much to discuss, man. How many times have you been cited?
So when people ask about citing, there is a difference in all the various different forms of paperwork that a police officer can hand off to you. What I have received is over 25 notices that I am a prohibited campsite and that I have 24 hours to get that campsite undone and out of there. It wasn't until just recently, about 5 or 6 days ago, that I received my first prohibited camping citation over my political protest that's been going since November 25th.
Are you responsible for paying a certain amount of money for every one of those citations?
So these are civil infractions. These are not a misdemeanor crime. So what happens with a civil infraction is that if you are unable or unwilling to pay, it generally goes to collections. So that's where all of my tickets generally end up going, is to collections, where it's now sold to a private company who then tries to get money from me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I lead a cash-free existence, so that's really a fun try for anyone.
Wow, I can't imagine, dude. But we'll try to get down to the nitty gritty because this is something that I'm passionate about, or I wouldn't waste a penny, a minute. I'm not getting paid a dime to talk with you, and I'm very, very happy to give you a platform, and so we can bring awareness to this situation because a lot of folks just get their news from the news, which is quite often, and with all due respect, a lot of propaganda and lies.
Right.
And they also tend to twist things around in the media, and they edit things to where it's said how they want it to look according to their agenda. I did contact Ashland Mayor Julie Akins about being on the show today with you. She said she had previous plans but would come on any show anytime and has been a guest before. So I do know she's on the side of those folks looking to get solutions for being houseless. So let me ask you this. Did you become houseless by choice or circumstance? Both.
I have been homeless before, and I've also been a home-free traveler before.
Okay.
Homelessness is something that has been done to me, and homelessness is also something that I have chosen to do.
Right. What is the difference? In a nutshell, what's the difference again between homeless and houseless?
Okay, so homeless and home-free. There is a real easy defining line between being homeless and being home free. That is whether or not you, the person that is experiencing this, wants a residence. Okay. And that is the only real difference. Okay. A person who is home free or leading a nomadic existence, a few examples would be the Irish roamer or the Romanian gypsy or the American hippie. These are people that lead a nomadic or traveling existence as a lifestyle choice. These are people who are home free.
Beautiful, man.
Right?
Yeah.
So a homeless person, like here in Ashland, right outside of Ashland, we have the Alameda fires that started here, but then decimated the next two towns over from us. We have a surge in population that is homeless. These are people that want a residence.
Yeah, I heard, I believe in the city of Talent alone, I could be wrong on this number, but I heard there was like 144 families that are homeless in just that little town.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
And that's a conservative number.
Yeah, I think so too. I was a quick read this morning, so don't quote me on that, anybody. I know you wanted to speak about solutions, and I do have just a few questions because I know you have lots of good things to talk about as far as some of your ideas and solutions. Are you more hopeful now, Joe, since the most recent elections?
Yes and no. It is a step in the right direction that we got a couple people elected that are very much their stance is to take action on certain issues. But unfortunately, we're in the United States of America, and the United States of America is a two-party political system. And within even our council, even though we only have 6 people and then the mayor, it still is party politics. Until you have the 4 people or more that are on your side, you really are not as effective or able to do as you want to do.
Yep.
So for the next couple of years, until we have the next city council election, this very much is the uphill struggle. But it's much better than a mayor that just would not reply at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you make good points, and you do have to play devil's advocate when we're talking about just about anything. You always have to step outside yourself and be a witness to everything to really understand or comprehend a situation. And you have lived both sides of the fence, so you're definitely an authority on what we're talking about. I mean, I'm walking downtown and I'll see you leaning up against the wall in the alley reading a book. That's like your living room,
Yep.
And the thing is, and then a guy will come by and give you a ticket for hanging out in your living room. It's like, what I don't get, Joe, is a long time, this is going to get weird, but a long time ago in the old days, there was days before men had cars, and there was people had feet, and they were just, they lived in nature, things progressed, and here we are all these many years later where most people have those things, but the ones that don't are like persecuted. Oh, you don't live the way most people do, so forget the past, forget our natural instincts, forget how it should be. This is just how it is, and boy, I just have to say, I'm sorry that you're persecuted for just trying to live, man.
Well, it's really funny you bring that up because one of the Facebook posts that I really want to make a very well thought out thing is that here in Ashland, Oregon, we have the Ashland Creek Park, and in there's a bronze little plaque that explains about the two people that came here to this valley, camped for a few days, and decided that this would be a great place to start a city.
Words well said.
Yep, and yet here in this town, we have an Ashland Municipal Code 1046-020, camping prohibited, which reads, no person shall camp in or upon any sidewalk, street, alley, lane, public right-of-way, park, or any other publicly owned property, or under any bridge or viaduct, unless otherwise specifically authorized by this code or by declaration of AMC, blah, blah, blah. So there is no place other than you, a private citizen that has private property that says, hey, you can come and stay on my place.
Well, maybe that's what it takes, man. There's so many people out there that do have and are fortunate enough to have a lot of money and land and things like that. I know such people in different places, but here I don't know so many. But I tell you what, man, if we could just find one big-hearted...
Actually, that's not the answer either. I'm currently working with a group that's called Housing Now Ashland. And one of the people there does own property within the city municipality that has unimproved area that he wants to be able to let people camp on.
Okay.
But there's so many code and enforcement restrictions in order to let a person live on a piece of property that it's completely outside of his range of being able to do so.
Wow.
Just stop and think about it. We're within, a valley that has 20,000 people in this city alone. You have to worry about septic and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I understand why he's denied. But there you go. The answer isn't just people have land, oh, let's do it.
Right.
It's you have to really come up with far more than that.
Well, it can be done. People
yes, it can be.
Can go to the moon and climb Mount Everest, and yogis in India can put their hands through walls and levitate, and so I know it can be done. It's just, what is the solution, Joe? What have you been thinking?
I'm sorry, you just reminded me of a little phrase that I really love, and it's a father telling his kid, the sky's the limit. And the kid looking at his dad going, there's footprints on the moon. So no, even that limit is exceeded. As far as solutions, so I just read the prohibited camping. It says in there, otherwise specifically authorized by this code. Yet nowhere in the Ashland 1046 is there any exception. So we literally could write Ashland Municipal Code 1046-080 exception, and then put in 1 hour before dusk till 1 hour after dawn in any and all hard-packed surfaces of public parks. There's a simple one-sentence solution embedded within something that already says authorized by this code.
Have you ever
what was that?
Have you ever considered, and you might think this is funny, but at the same time, knowing you probably have you ever considered the fact that you could run for city council and try to get within the system to make change that way?
You are about the 50th person this year alone to freaking bring that up.
Yeah. I'm the first radio DJ, though, right?
Yes, you are. So the answer to that is the system itself is the problem. What we are facing is systemic. So joining the system is not the solution. We really do need to actually reform the system in its entirety.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree.
So that's my answer for running for any political position thing.
Do people that choose to be houseless, do they have access to the same services as those that are forced into it?
Yes, there is actually no real differentiation made between homeless and home free.
Okay.
But the vast majority of home free people lead a very independent life, and they actually really don't like touching any services. But ironically enough, homeless people don't like to either.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Imagine just 10 of your friends, people you know very well, suddenly homelessness is done to them. They're now homeless. How many of them are actually going to go to the Department of Human Services and apply for benefits and try to get aid?
Yeah. Good points.
I bet you know 10 people, and out of that, 2 or 3, they're going to do it on their own. They'll refuse any and all aid. They're independent. They will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You make good points, Joe, for sure, man. What do you how do you live each day, man? Do you like pick up every morning and move somewhere different? Do you stay somewhere more than a day at a time? How does it work?
Okay. So what happened up until I got a camping ticket and I now have a day in court? What I was doing was picking a very public place in Ashland and doing on that public place what we homeless people have to do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And how you're treated. The moment someone notices, they can make an anonymous complaint. They can literally make a brand new email and send an email to an email box and with a description, and next thing you know, cops are there dealing with that person. That's the only validity it takes in order for Ashland police to then tell this person sleeping, you cannot be doing this. So up until recently, they would give me a 24-hour notice, and this generally happened within a day to a day and a half. So any spot I was generally at for about 2 days before picking up and moving. About once every other week, I would take a night off from doing this protest, and I would go and sleep somewhere else. Now with the camping ticket, tactics have now changed. I didn't get a 24-hour notice. If an officer comes up to you, you're doing an action, and they cite you, they here you go, here's your ticket. They can then tell you to cease and desist that action. If you refuse to do so, they can then enforce it, refusal to obey an officer's orders, and that becomes arrestable.
Wow.
So when they give me a citation, even though it's a civil infraction, they didn't say, now we're telling you to stop, you have reasonable time, it's about 20 minutes, we'll be back. They literally just walked away and left this in a cloud of doubt. Do I have 24 hours because I had a structure up? Or is that null and gated because you gave me a citation?
Wow.
So it's a new tactic. Now I don't know what's up. I had to bounce a couple times just because of meetings and other things from getting that ticket. So this is the first spot where I am going to stay and sit and see what happens. With my various support groups and people backing me, we have decided that if I ever end up in one place for longer than 72 hours, we are going to declare it a free sleep zone.
Wow, man. Speechless. You are listening to KSKQ Radio. Derek Moody here on the Eartheart Radio Show, speaking with Joe Gibson, and a.k.a. Joe Camel. And he is speaking on behalf of the home free, the homeless, the people living here in Southern Oregon and really all over the world, because this is a problem, and not really a problem. It's something happening all over the world right now, and it's like a thing, and everywhere deals with it differently. And in my opinion, a lot of these tactics, so to speak, are nothing more than Gestapo tactics, and I don't like it one bit. And as a radio DJ, I'm glad and proud that I can have a platform to let folks like Joe say what they need to say to bring awareness, and change has to happen one step at a time, even if it's a small step. Maybe one person today can help make that step. I must say that any views or opinions expressed are solely those of the host and the guest, do not necessarily represent those of KSKQ. It's KSKQ's mission to produce community radio that empowers the residents of the Rogue Valley, builds sustainable and resilient communities through the exchange of ideas and the celebration of cultural diversity. Now, if we could just start living up to these standards on the streets, that would be groovy, Joe, what else would you like to say as far as solutions, or maybe what the city of Ashland is doing as far as some of their own the directions they're taking to help people like you?
All right. So solutions. And this is actually something that we can do within the city of Ashland, but this is more of a solution that can be applied almost anywhere that you have an industrialized group of people. That would be here, Europe, China, Japan, just about everywhere that's not, really a third world country. I call this concept trash houses. There is a company, and I know I'm going to get the country wrong. I think it's Amsterdam or Denmark, but I can't remember. It's called Wickel House, and it's Wikkel House. And they are taking cardboard and they are wrapping it around a frame and making a tubular kind of thing in a modular design format. This is more for like middle class, upper middle class kind of thing. You're going to go and buy a plot of land and build a house. Wickle house is something that you would put on that plot as you're building the actual house. Or it would be used as a kind of thing that you can mobilize and move whenever you want. We're going to take that same concept, build a smaller unit, maybe not modular, but make it as a single-use unit where all the material is recycled cardboard, recycled plastic, recycled glass, and the bare amount of metals that you need in order to have the basic necessity of heat and lighting. Yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful.
So, literally, we are throwing so much into our dumps that it's just a manufacturing process applied to some of these materials, and the end result would be a home that a single person can occupy for up to a decade of shelf of life.
Wow.
After a decade, you would have to then recycle it again, or end up putting it in the landfill or furnishing it and doing electrical generation.
What would something like this cost again for one of those, ballpark?
So the cost of materials is null and gated because you literally are sending yourself after our redistribution points where they've already baled the cardboard, the plastic, and all that kind of stuff, and they're going to be sending it to the dump anyways.
Yeah.
So cost of materials is absolutely nothing. The base machinery to start a process like this is somewhere between $300,000 to $1.2 million, depending on what exactly are you going to build this to. If you're going to do the bare minimum, then yeah, it would only cost about $300,000 worth of machinery. After that point, it is a little labor intensive, which is true of just about any kind of recycling process that you're then going to make use of that recycled material.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we have a whole population of people that have nothing better to do.
Especially right now, we need so much change, and there's a lot of people waking up, man. So all this, this is great information.
Yeah. So cost, I've tried to price it out, and I really think that we could sell this at cost at somewhere between $600 to $1,200 per unit.
Wow, not bad.
But the whole thing is that there's a caveat with this, which is that the restrooms that people would have to make happen, because the unit itself does not have a restroom, is a methane composting toilet kind of thing, because then you could hook that up to the unit for cooking purposes being used off of methane.
Ah. Yeah.
So if you're able to do that, that's how you bring the cost down even a little bit more. And that's what I'm quoting my $600 to $1,200 on.
Nice. Well, there's so much hope out there, Joe, and I know that eventually there's going to be solutions that eventually are going to make people say, finally, we can rest and not have to be ticketed for sleeping or just being a wandering person that's happy in nature. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? I'm so much with you, bro, because we're all just a couple steps away from either, choosing to be or being forcibly on the streets. So look, man, I could be with you in the next week, and if so, I'll be glad that we had made friends, and you can teach me what you know, man, because I wouldn't be able to handle what you do, bro. So I have a lot of respect for you, man. A lot.
Most people, they hit the streets, and within a week or two, they're doing whatever they can to get off of it.
Yeah, I know.
Even people that they do a festival tour, and halfway through the tour, they're like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, I know.
Dude,
so. I've been on tours with rock bands in a van with all the comforts, luxuries, money, food, and 2 weeks later, I'm like, I just can't stand it. How do you do it? So, yeah, deep bow and much respect to you, Joe. And is there anything you'd like to say in closing today before I let you go, man?
My email is lookingformyrights@gmail.com. I look to communicate with any and all peoples. In fact, when we were doing a roaming encampment, I got yelled at because I invited the police to our meetings.
Oh, God.
So just letting you know, and everyone out there, I am completely willing to talk with anyone on just about anything. But currently, my main focus is on homelessness, home freeness. 3 goals are that we need to stop criminalizing homelessness. We do, second, need to differentiate what is civil homelessness and what is uncivil homelessness. And then in America, third, we need to recognize that the home-free existence is a legal and lawful lifestyle choice.
Amen.
And that's all I have to say.
Could you please provide your email one more time?
That is lookingformyrights@gmail.com.
Lookingformyrights@gmail.com. Joe Gibson, a great guy to become friends with, man. We've had some really interesting conversations off the radio, and I look forward to more of those down the road, Brother Joe. And yeah, man, thanks for being on the show today, and I hope to catch you in the streets here, and I'll see you probably tomorrow, man, or something.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on your show, and it was wonderful.
Yeah,
happy travels.
Yeah, you too, Joe. Lots of love, man, and have a safe day, my man. Cheers. And there you have it, my friends. Lovely man. Yeah, Joe Gibson right there at KSKQ Radio. Thank you for being here. We're going to hear music from Glory's Gate in just a minute. Going to get that fired up for you, but I've got to give some love to one of our underwriters. Thanks again for listening to the Eartheart Radio Show. I'm Derek Moody. Glad to be here. The Leela School of Underwriting. Let's start over. Support for KSKQ comes from our listeners and the Leela School for Awakening. Information about Zoom classes leading to certification in advanced clinical hypnosis, starting your own practice, or a no-fee session with Leela School staff is online at leelaschool.org, on Facebook at the Leela School, or by calling 541-201-0900. The Leela School is in service of universal human rights and dignity. I want to send a shout out to my sister that's also a awesome KSKQ broadcaster, Sister Holly. Yeah, she's one of the best. She's the one that actually came in. Her little face smiled when I first walked in the door years ago at KSKQ and gave me the paperwork to submit my proposal for my Church of Rock radio show. So, Sister Holly, if you're listening, I'm sure you're living your life, but if you're tuned in, lots of love, and thanks again for getting me in the door all those years ago. And I don't even remember when it was. I think, I want to say 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't recall. I'd like to know. Right now, I've got something I'm proud to play. Many years ago, I was in a band in the state of Illinois in USA called the Renegades. And we did, I think, 3 shows a week for, with 4 sets of music a night for about a year and a half solid. We did about 75, 80 gigs as the Renegades, doing outlaw country and blues music, a little bit of rock and roll. And the drummer for that band, his name is Casey Young. He's a fantastic drummer. He lives in the state of Illinois and has been continuing on since the Renegades in 1996 to do so much more. And here's his latest offering with his band, who has been on the show before. The band is called Glory's Gate. And the song, of course, is called Pierced Through the Heart. It's from their brand new music video, which is really good, man. 2 thumbs up from the Rev on this one. Again, Glory's Gate with Pierced Through the Heart right here at the Eartheart Radio Show in KSKQ. Om Namah Shivaya. This is for Pat and Janine.
broadcasting live from KSKQ Radio in Ashland, Oregon. Thanks for tuning in. Be here now. Eartheart Radio, KSKQ. You are at the Eartheart Radio Show. Yeah, some beautiful music. Scottish Renaissance Polyphony. That was Capella Novella. Robert Johnson. Yeah, I love the Scottish Renaissance stuff. Great CD series that I picked up. Actually, somebody donated it. I don't even know who donated it because I got so many great donations after the Alameda fires here. So if you sent that and you're listening, wow, I sure do love that album. Robert Johnson, Capella Nova. Thank you so much to Bob and Red, who are tuned in upstate New York. Regular listeners, much love, Bob and Red. Also listening today in Portland, Oregon, Audrey, love you, dear, and Aaron. Also, Stephen Huff in Ashland, Oregon, my good friend. Sister Tufty's tuned in England. Much love, dear. Laura Carallo is listening. Thank you. Tuning in also today. Let's see. Heidi. Yeah, my friend Heidi in Bradford, Ontario, Canada. It's become a weekly tradition for Heidi to make Sunday dinner while listening to the Eartheart Show. So that's awesome. What's for dinner, Heidi? What are you making tonight, huh? I smell meatloaf. No, kidding. I don't even know if you eat meat. Yes, you do. Sean Hoyt is tuned in White City, Oregon. Also, Jake Hancock. I salute you, man. And Cheyenne Sharf. Nice to know you're there. Mama Bear. Lots of love. Hello to Gogs in Edinburgh, Scotland. Jack Grine is tuned in. Also, Karen Lee in Rhode Island. Sister Tracy in Jet Dog. And last but not least, Oddly Toddly. Dude, I sure do love you, man. You are at the Eartheart Radio Show, and you just heard Scottish polyphony music. We will do something now, which is like where we like to spotlight a saint or something like that. Saints, angels, avatars, sages, yogis, holy men, medicine women, helpers, elders, revolutionaries, and advocates of love. Today we honor and show love, respect, and gratitude.
Yes, indeed. Each week we like to spotlight people that are souls that are temporarily residing in human bodies. Today it's a little different. We're going to spotlight Goddess Lakshmi from Hinduism. Goddess Lakshmi is one of the principal goddesses of Hinduism. She's the goddess of wealth, fortune, love, beauty, joy, and prosperity, all associated with Maya, or illusion. Along with Parvati and Saraswati, she forms the trinity of Hindu goddesses. Lakshmi is venerated as principal aspect of the mother goddess. Lakshmi is both the wife and divine energy, or Shakti, of the Hindu god Vishnu. She's the supreme goddess and assists Vishnu to create, protect, and transform the universe. Lakshmi is depicted in Indian art as an elegantly dressed, prosperity-showering, golden-colored woman with an owl as her vehicle, signifying the importance of economic activity in maintenance of life, her ability to move and prevail in confusing darkness. She typically stands or sits on a lotus pedestal while holding a lotus in her hand, symbolizing fortune, self-knowledge, and spiritual liberation. Lakshmi iconography shows her with four hands, which represents the four aspects of human life important to Hindu culture: Dharma, Karma, Artha, and Moksha. Below, behind, or on the sides, Lakshmi is often shown with one or two elephants and occasionally, of course, her owl. The owl, of course, also signifies the patient striving to observe, see, and discover knowledge, particularly when surrounded by darkness. The elephants symbolize work, activity, and strength, as well as water, rain, and fertility for abundant prosperity. As a bird reputedly blinded by daylight, the owl also serves as a symbolic reminder to refrain from blindness and greed after knowledge and wealth have been acquired. In some representations, wealth either symbolically pours out from her hands or she simply holds a jar of money. This symbolism has a dual meaning. Wealth manifested through Lakshmi means both materials as well as spiritual wealth. Lakshmi typically wears a red dress embroidered with gold threads, which do symbolize fortune and wealth. To wrap up our Lakshmi information today, brothers and sisters, I will share an ancient prayer dedicated to Goddess Lakshmi. Through illusion, a person can become disconnected from his higher self, wandering about from place to place, bereft of clear thought, lost in destructive behavior. It matters not how much truth may shine forth in the world, illuminating the entire creation, for one cannot acquire wisdom unless it is experienced through the opening on the heart. My friends, thank you for listening to the Eartheart Radio Show. I would like to play a song for you, by a band called the Cloyd Cult, from the album entitled Meaning of Eight. This is a song called Chemicals Collide at the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ.
Attention, or was I lost inside my thoughts? These days it's hard to tell what's outside from what's in my mind. And oh God, it's beautiful, insatiable, the way our chemicals collide. what's half asleep from fully alive. We were loving like a landslide, or were we in a fight? These days it's hard to tell what's right from wrong and wrong from right. And oh God, it's beautiful, insatiable, the way our chemicals collide. And oh God, it's unforgettable, unpredictable, the way our chemicals collide.
You're listening to the Eartheart Radio Show with the Cloyd Cult. Great album dedicated to each and every one of you. That was donated by Hariom Radhakrishna to the Eartheart Radio Show Library. So much love to Hariom and his lovely wife, Nina Radhakrishna. The Meaning of Eight is the name of the Cloyd Cult album. And beautiful tune called Chemicals Collide. KSKQ recognizes the nonprofit community support of the Klamath-Siskiyou Wildland Center. As a voice for wild nature, KS Wild's mission is focused on protecting public lands in the Klamath-Siskiyou region of Southwest Oregon and Northwest California. Community support for KS Wild helps ensure a legacy of wild rivers, ancient forests, and biodiversity. Learn more about KS Wild's forest and wildlife conservation programs and efforts to restore public lands at kswild.org. And my friends, I'd like to apologize to my sister Holly, who is a broadcaster here at KSKQ. I don't have her current show information, and I feel awful. I think she's on 8 o'clock on Friday mornings, but that could be wrong. But I'm pretty positive it's 8 a.m. in the mornings, but I work third shift. So that means I'm never up early to, unfortunately, hear my sister. But I just wanted to plug her show, and I'm hoping to hear from her so I can let you guys know when to tune in to hear her awesomeness on the radio.
Please let go of your fear. Positive news is here. Things aren't as bad as it seems, no matter what they say. News with an agenda is meant to instill fear. True news can instill hope.
Yeah, that's right. We'll bring you some positive news next week on the show. It's beginning our spoken word series. We're going to have spoken word poet James Blaylock joining us on the phones from God knows where. I think he's on the East Coast, but we'll find out next week when we speak with James Blaylock, and we'll be playing spoken word poetry that he has done with music behind it. And the week after that, we'll have more spoken word poetry, and the week after that, and going to do a little series and some surprises coming your way too. Some things I'm not even going to announce ahead of time because of certain reasons. Let's just say that let's do the positive news story number one. This is a good one. Embryos created at Christmas are viable, raising hopes for the 2 remaining northern white rhinos. Yep. Following up on their success of the last 2 years, the international collaborative effort to save the northern white rhino from extinction has extracted another 14 egg cells from Feitu, one of the 2 female rhinos that make up the living remainder of the species. These would end up offering 2 viable fertilized eggs for the restoration program. And while conservationists often use phrases like a glimmer of hope, this particular success is far beyond a glimmer, my friends. BioRescue has been pursuing this project ever since the last male rhino died in 2018. Then they now have a total of 5 fertilized eggs, essentially giving them 5 chances to get the next and most critical part right: artificial insemination. They plan to have a calf on the ground in 2 to 3 years, and BioRescue will use a surrogate from the southern white rhino subspecies, which diverged around 1 million years ago. Trippy, huh? I must say, my friends, coming up today after the Eartheart Radio show, we have Philosophy Talk Radio. Big Picture Science, also This Way Out, and then you'll hear Building Bridges, and then, of course, the Church of Rock radio show with Sister Tracy at 6 p.m. tonight, followed by Old Time Radio. What a great show. Sunday night jazz is very awesome every week with revolving hosts, Lloyd and Richard. Great stuff, man. I'm just a music nut. No matter what it is, I like it. And also late night funk and R&B. Yeah. What do you think about that, Pat? Some late night funk, huh? All right, man. Positive news number 2. Similar to a classic pregnancy test, a color-changing strip. Maybe in the future, it'll be mounted on face masks to detect the presence of COVID-19 in the air that you breathe that day, allowing everyone to self-monitor the environments they pass through. Yep, the project was launched by nano-engineers at UC San Diego with $1.3 million grant from the NIFE's Rapid Acceleration of Diagnostics Radical Program. The scientists created a small test kit to attach to the front of any mask, which can do, it can be a mass produced at a cost of like 3 cents per kit. Until some greedy corporate entity, of course, buys the patent or the copyright and decides to bottle it up like water or, electricity. But anyway, after breathing through the mask for 4 to 5 hours, enough particular particles would be available to determine if you came in contact with the virus or not. The duration, or indeed if you perhaps do have it. To detect the virus, the wearer would crack a small blister pack that would immediately coat the test kit in fluid, which would indicate the presence of proteases, protein-clearing molecules produced from the coronavirus. The test also turns red for the original SARS virus from 2003 and also the MERS virus, MERS. Positive 3. Okay, and I do believe that hope is on the horizon. I've been doing a little research, and I do believe that things will come to a semblance of some kind of normal existence to where we can get along with traveling, things like this. Just my personal prediction, I think a year and a half. I don't know. You might be laughing going, yeah, sure, pal. But that's what I've been hearing from the positive community. I don't know. Maybe I'm dead wrong, but I really want to get on a jet plane and head over to Scotland. I got music to make, man. And one more story for you, my friends. In Mexico City, Mexico, after more than 1 year of behind-the-scenes work, a ban on single-use containers, cutlery, straws, cups, stirrers, and other popular but disposable items has come into effect. Yep, Mexico City's environmental secretary explained on Twitter that the capital will now be a place without using plastics, and he urged citizens to think of reusable containers as something they never leave home without, just like your cell phone. So bring your straw, have one straw, have a bag to shop with. Reusable from now on, folks. It'll save so much recycling and the animals and the environment. Coronavirus guidelines notwithstanding, tortillas at street stalls should now be wrapped in the paper that a buyer has. Hopefully, remember to bring with them. China is also aiming to reduce plastic pollution by moving towards biodegradable alternatives to single-use plastic straws and bags. So, it's one step at a time, and I'd just like to bring a little bit of positive news your way to let you know there are people behind the scenes, little angels, and the good people in the world trying to make things better for all of us. With no profit intended, for lots of them even, you know what I'm saying? But my friends, let's continue on. I do have another, about 5 or 6 minutes in which to fill, and I would like to fill that with a beautiful song by Handel. This is called Hallelujah, because you are listening to the Eartheart radio show, and I'm Mervyn Derek Moody. Glad to have you here. May God bless you in whatever way God means to you and speaks to your heart. KSKQ. Handel with Hallelujah, the Eartheart Radio Show and KSKQ Community Radio. My friends, you are listening to Eartheart Radio Show. Please consider donating to KSKQ. We are looking for new underwriters as well. If you have a business or a person that has a home office or business, contact us, please, at kskq.org. And please donate, if you have the means, at kskq.org. We don't get any grants from the biggies or corporations or the government. We are owned by the people. You know what I'm saying? Power to the people. Much love to Ricky and Kelly in Kenosha, Wisconsin that are listening right now. Also to Jane in Australia. Hello, Jane. Hi to Naomi in Edinburgh. Thank you for tuning in, Sister Naomi. And Chris Drow in Wisconsin. Much love, dear. It is just a couple of minutes away from checking out of here. And of course, you know, once I leave, the radio does continue with much great broadcasting. Philosophy Talk is up next. Something from the Bhagavad Gita I will talk about, which has to do with the mode of goodness. Happiness in the mode of goodness may in the beginning seem like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, for it is born out of the peace of self-realization. Now I'll speak from the Bhagavad Gita on material elements. My material nature is made up of 8 separate energies: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. One more about leadership from the Bhagavad Gita. Whatever a great man does, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. You're at the Eartheart Radio Show. Om Namah Shivaya, my friends. Have a beautiful week. Next week, James Blaylock, spoken word poet. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. You are listening to KSKQ 89.5 FM Ashland, Oregon, and 94.1 FM Medford, Oregon. Many blessings to you and yours.
You've been listening to Eartheart Radio with your host, Derek Moody. Eartheart Radio is produced by Derek Moody in association with Sister Tracy and Krishna Consciousness. Please tune in every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time for more Eartheart Radio.